Don't stop.
Hi, thanks for joining me in the Everything and Anything in a Big Gay podcast. And this is Everything. This is my weekly show where I bring up a topic that I think is interesting or something that's happened to me. And I have a really good one this week. So I had a woman that I met in 2022. I found her on TikTok or Instagram. I can't remember. And she was doing readings for people. So, and when I say she was doing readings, she basically will connect with someone that's on the other side, that who has died, and she's writing down what they're saying. And she did a reading for me back in 2022, and she was so accurate. And the thing is that I was writing the things down. She sent me the recording afterwards, which I don't know if I listened to or not, but I took really good notes. And I have to say, after that reading, like, I think we were like an hour into it and she was like ready to keep going. I'm just like, I'm so exhausted from this. Like, I don't know how she does it because she's the one feeling all the energy, but I guess I felt the energy too somehow. And I was so exhausted by it. Her name is Tracy Stella, and I'm going to tell you more about her in a moment. And all her contact information will be in the description of this podcast or video, because if you really want to connect with somebody on the other side, Tracy is your person. She was a guest in my show also back in 2025. Phenomenal guest. She's just a lovely person. She's Canadian, so let's just start there. So that, most Canadians are really amazing. And so we'll start there and just that will give you an idea who she is. But so I've interviewed a lot of psychic mediums and people that's had near-death experiences on my show. And I've been watching a lot of other podcasts that has psychic mediums on there. And there's just one that I'm very close to booking. And I hope I can get her because she's been on so many shows and her interviews are so good. And she's got a different way of looking at things from a psychic medium perspective. And so I'm hoping to book her. But as I was watching her, it just kind of Tracy, I've got readings before from people, but nobody's ever as kind of accurate as Tracy is. And so I booked a session with her and she was very generous with her time. She wasn't even looking at the clock, to be honest. And I think we went over a little bit. I'm just like, I felt bad because, her time is precious, but we were also talking before and she's just such a friendly, nice person. And we were just kind of catching up because we haven't talked in a year or so. But I wanted to tell you about my reading because I don't know if it's fascinating to me because it was my people, but just the whole thing, the whole experience. So I took notes. So that's what if I'm looking down and reading this, I took notes throughout the interview. So first of all, she asked me, like, who do you want to kind of connect with? And I had a couple of people I wanted to connect with. One, I wanted to connect with my father because last time she was able to connect with my father and she told me something. So just to kind of back up. So I did a reading with her in 2022. And then in 2025, I did a podcast episode with her, not a reading. We just kind of talked about her life and her experience and her brother who committed suicide. Like we went through her story and she's a fascinating person. But she asked me, who do you want to meet with? And I said, I want to meet with my father. I'd like to hear from my father. I'd like to hear from my mother's mother, which is my grandmother. I'm trying to think who else I asked for. Did I write it down on one of these pieces of paper? Oh, yes, I did. I wanted to talk to my mother-in-law who just passed away in November. And that was it. Those are the people. And I said, anybody else that comes through, like, maybe they're meant to be there. So last time, whenever she did a reading for me back in 2022, my father did come through. And my father said he was not happy with how I was being with my mother. And what he meant by that was that I wasn't seeing her enough because she lives in another state. I'm in Massachusetts. She's in Illinois. And so he made me feel like, basically, he's like, you're not doing enough for her. And I'm like, I live in another state, but now I'm making time to go see her more often. I mean, I talk on the phone 2 to 3 times a day with my mother. So it's like, if I lived there, I wouldn't talk to her that much. But I give my mom plenty of attention, and if she needs something, I make sure she gets it or whatever. So, but that kind of like was it's been on the back of my mind for, I don't know, the last month or so. And then also my mother-in-law, who was like my other mother, like she passed away in November. and I loved her so much, and it's kind of like a surreal, it's kind of like a weird feeling that she's gone, and it hits me like, oh, I don't know, like I knew she was sick. She was sick for a long time. She was dying, and whenever right before she passed away, we went to tell her bye. I knew that was the last time I was going to see her, and it was a very hard thing when we walked out of the room and we walked outside. Like I just remember, oh God, it was just I don't even want to go talk about that day, but my point is that I've been thinking about her a lot lately because I was so used to being able to kind of pick up the phone and call her whenever I wanted. And yeah, there's just like that there was that void. There's been that void there that I haven't had. I can't call her anymore. So I don't know. I don't want to get too emotional about this, but it's just I think whenever she was dying, I knew she was dying, and then when she died, I knew she died, but it's weird. It didn't hit me until 5 or 6 months later that she was actually not there anymore. That makes sense. So it's like my grief kind of came a little later. And I don't know if that's normal or if there is no normal and that's just what it is. But yeah, I've really been missing her lately. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better mother-in-law because she was just so amazing. But I want to tell you about my reading. So that's who I said I wanted to talk to. I wanted to talk to my grandma on my mom's side. Her name is Grandma Childers. I wanted to talk to my dad, and I wanted to talk to my mother-in-law. Her name is Irene. So we start the reading, and she said, okay, she goes, this is not normal, but there are several people here that are kind of waiting in line. She goes, it's almost like a garden party or a barbecue because there's so many people here that have something to say. But she goes, there's one person that wants to, she knows you want to talk to your dad, but she's here and she has something to say. And we'll be right back. Okay, now back to the show. I said, okay, who is it? She knew it was Irene, and she starts writing things out, and she was so accurate. And then she goes, oh, there is a connection with Irene with somebody that has a name that starts with A. My husband, Andrew, that's her son. So yeah. And she goes, I'm just going to kind of read you just what it said. She wanted me to give Andrew a message, which I love this. And I told Andrew about all this, and he kind of like didn't have a reaction. I want to call his sister and talk to his sister about it. Maybe she would have a better reaction about it, or she would care. I feel like Andrew, I don't know if he's just like, I don't believe in any of this stuff, or if he's just like, yeah, whatever. It's one of your hocus pocus things that you're doing and stuff. And so I don't know. I think I'm going to ask him about it again tonight because I wanted a better reaction because I think what she said was just so good and it made me feel so much better. But she said that she was sorry that she lost the battle. She said that she was respected and honored in the right way. She said that she is good and settled now, and she's very happy. And she is happy that she doesn't feel the way that she was feeling. She wants her daughter, Jen, to know that she is good. I think Jen's, been thinking about her a lot. She said that she wants to say thank you to me for being support, taking care of Andrew through the stress that he was going and support him with no pressure after she passed away. And I understood his grief and I let him grieve the way he wanted to. And she's also said that it was okay that Andrew wasn't there the day that she actually passed away because Andrew and I chose, like we said goodbye and then we left. And we chose not to be there to see her pass away because we knew it was going to happen probably in the next several days to a week. And it happened like a week later after we left. And she says she wants us to have no regrets about not being there and that the way it happened is the way it was supposed to happen. So that was really nice. And the other thing that shocked the shit out of me is that Tracy said, oh, there's somebody here. Let's like BE or something. I'm like, I said, Mom, that's kind of my mom's initials, but my mom's alive. She goes, no, it's not your mom. It's a mother figure. And it turned out to be Andrew's grandmother who came up. And this is the part that really got me. She said that her and Irene leave little things around, and those things are them giving us signs that they're around and thinking of us. I said, like what? She goes, I keep getting ladybugs. Uh, Okay, there's no way. This is nowhere online for Tracy to know, but Tracy knew about the ladybugs because every time there's a ladybug, ever since Andrew's grandmother died, we always take a picture if we see a ladybug or if there's whatever it is, there's ladybugs. And Tracy said there's ladybugs. So weird. Okay, I got the chills whenever she said ladybugs because there's just no way. The other thing that she said that was so amazing, Tracy's like, they're from the Midwest. And I said, no, they're not. They're from New York. She goes, oh, it's so weird because I keep seeing a lake house. I said, oh my God, there's a lake house that we used to go to every summer, and Andrew would go, that his grandparents owned, and then his uncle and aunt owned it, and now it's another member of the family, cousins. And I said that lake house was like the center of family reunions and stuff. So the fact that she said lake house, then she also kind of like, I don't know if she said the word quarters, but she says Irene is leaving you little gifts around too. And I said, what's that? And I said, well, I think there's quarters. She goes, that's it. There's quarters. Irene is, because there was a weird time. It's kind of slowed down now. It's only slowed down about a month ago. But since Irene died in November, up until about a month ago, I would be walking up my stairs inside the house, and there was like a quarter sitting on the stairs. I'm like, that's random. Then I would pick it up, and I don't know, I don't know where I put it, whatever. And then I would come up to my podcast studio like the next day, and there was a quarter sitting on my desk. Why was there a quarter on my desk? I never have change or cash. So like, why? Like, I didn't look like I cleaned up my pockets and put it there. And then I'm walking outside my driveway. There's a quarter sitting in the driveway. Then I come back, another time, and I'm coming to the stairs that come into front of my house. There's a quarter sitting on the steps. Then there's another quarter in the stairs inside the house. So all these quarters just started showing up. I'm like, and I could just sense it was Irene. And Tracy kind of validated that. Then we got into, then Irene said, I'm so sorry. I keep interrupting. Your father, I know you came here to talk to your father or people in your family. And so, she kind of like stepped aside. But then she says, oh, I see somebody else coming. And it's like FR something. I'm like, Fred. She goes, yes, Fred. It's Fred. I'm like, yeah, it's Grandpa Fred. It's Andrew's grandfather, which is Irene's father, and B's, Andrew's grandmother. It's her husband. So he came by. He didn't have anything to say, but he just popped in for a minute. She's like, there are so many people that are waiting to say something to you. And I'm like, that's amazing. So then I'm like, okay, what about my dad? Like, I want to hear from my dad now. But nope, Dad wasn't coming because my grandmother, who I didn't ask to necessarily talk with, who is from my father's side, decided she wanted to come in. And she starts, I think Tracy actually said my aunt's name, Aunt Denise. She said, oh, she's talking about, Denise or something. And I'm like, so how would Tracy know this name? Like, there's no way. I mean, I guess if Tracy looked at my social media and she really dug down, maybe she would have done it, but she wouldn't have known. Like, she started saying my grandmother's, it's like spelling my grandmother's name out, and she didn't get it totally, but she knew where it was started, and she knew the first couple of letters and stuff. And my grandmother has a very unique name, so there's no way that she could have guessed that. And she mentioned a cousin of mine, that's Denise's daughter. She mentioned her name, and I said, her and I are not speaking, and so I don't need to know anything about her. And so she moved on. And then she said, well, she is coming because she goes, there had to be some big milestone or celebration that was in last week or coming up in 2 weeks. It's usually 2 weeks either from now or it happened 2 weeks ago. I said, yeah, it was my aunt's birthday. She goes, yeah, that's what her mother is coming to say is happy birthday to her because she had a big milestone birthday. So that was bizarre because there's no way that Tracy could have known that either. And she did know it. And then my grandmother, there's some things that me and my aunt did a podcast episode back when this podcast started. It might have been the first season of my podcast where we talked about how me and my aunt did a DNA test. We did 23andMe and we did Ancestry. And we found out that she had nobody from her father's side related to her. And I did. And then we had her cousin, which is my cousin too, take the test, and she came up in my profile, but not in hers. So then we found out after, doing some more digging and putting two and two together that my grandmother at one point had an affair with somebody and got pregnant with my aunt. So her father, who she thought was her father her entire life, was actually not her father, even though she says that is her father, because he raised her and he loved her. And but I got a little bit of answers about that because we don't know who the person is, who her real father is, because my grandmother died and never mentioned it. But what Tracy did tell me in the reading is that my grandmother didn't actually know for sure. She suspected that maybe my grandfather wasn't my aunt's real father. And she just said, my grandmother basically said she'd rather not talk about this. She wants to focus the efforts on something else. She said that she spent a lot of time alone and when she was at home and my grandfather was traveling and that she was very lonely and depressed and not feeling happy. And that's why she ended up sleeping with somebody. And it was somebody that sounded like was in the neighborhood. She didn't tell me the name. And this person was also married. And my grandfather knew this man that my grandmother had the affair with. And Tracy said if the name was found out, it would be very scandalous. So that was an interesting thing. Oh, then she said, do you know a Rose? I'm like, no, I don't know. I know Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls, but I don't know a Rose. And she's like, okay, well, there's some Rose that's here too. And I was like, okay, I don't know. And then she kept saying there's somebody with a John. Is there a John? I said, well, my dad's name is Johnny, but that nobody ever called him John. They always called him Johnny. So it's not him. And so we ended that conversation. And then my dad came through. And we'll be right back. Okay, and now back to the show. And then my dad came through. And she said, my dad was very, very connected. His energy was really good. He was a little serious about things. She said she asked me what he was like as a father. I said he was an amazing father. He was an amazing husband. He worked hard for the family. He loved everybody in the family. Everybody loved him. I couldn't have asked for a better father. And she said that he basically said, as a father and a husband, my job here is to make sure that they have what they need. And I make every effort to get what they need. And he said that, which is very true right now. My mother is depressed and she knew that. He goes, I want you to let your mother know that I am by her side, even though I'm not there. I know she's not doing so well right now. She's a little depressed. My mother literally went to the doctor that day of this reading, and the doctor gave her medication for her depression that day. It's so bizarre. And I said that I talk to my father every night before I go to bed, and he says, yes, Zach talks to me. He wants me to take what I'm doing seriously. Cause I always ask my father, should I be doing this podcast? Should I get a corporate job again? What should I be doing in my life? What's the direction I need to go? And my father's not talking back to me until Tracy came. And he says that what I'm doing is the path that I should be on. What I am doing is what I should be doing. He says that I don't rest enough. I'm doing too many projects. He wants me to love myself outside of who is listening to me. I'm not quite sure what that means. Because sometimes is anybody listening to this podcast? And, I look at the numbers and there are obviously, but he said, I need to stop stressing around, should I get a job or not? He goes, it's taken a toll on me, which it has. Cause I'm like, should I get a corporate job? I mean, it's just more money and keep doing the podcast on the side, or what should I do? But he says he doesn't want me to lose my passion for the podcast. I need to take some time off sometimes for myself and not do anything with the podcast or anything. And the path that I have taken to do this podcast is the path and destination I'm supposed to be on. I am meant to come on this podcast and tell people stories and to give people a platform to speak where they wouldn't have a platform overall. And it made me feel okay, I am doing the right thing. I should be doing this podcast. It's crazy. He just said that he wants me to have self-love, love myself, outside of people talking to me. Don't take things personally. Provide a safe place for people to talk. Keep doing the way that I'm doing it. Let the podcast continue to grow. Keep giving people a platform. He was very like, he really talked about letting people tell their stories, coming onto my podcast and letting people tell their stories, which I love. That's what I love about the podcast. I can let people tell their stories. And oh, the other thing that Tracy said was interesting. She goes, he's talking to you as more of a soul to soul and not necessarily as a father at this point. Because when he's giving you this advice about you're doing what you should be doing, she goes, that's not fatherly advice, that's soul to soul. And I said, well, what does that mean? And she says, well, it's like coming from a collective. So it's coming from a collective of souls that are basically giving me guidance, telling me to keep doing the podcast, keep doing what you're doing. This is the direction you need to go. Stop doubting yourself. And it's not just my father saying, oh, you're doing great. You're so good. It's coming from a collective of souls. So it could be my grandparents. It could be, all these people that have gone to the other side. And then, I told her, I said, I have imposter syndrome sometimes. And she basically said that she's had a lot of people that have imposter syndrome. I do this show sometimes and I think, is anybody listening to this? And I have a friend that helps me with the show on the back end. And he always look at your numbers, they're gone up. People are listening to you. And sometimes I just can't believe I'm doing a podcast and this is my job because it's so amazing. So it's just kind of hard to comprehend. But this reading made me feel like that what I'm doing is the right thing. Just that I'm on the right page. I'm doing the right direction. Yeah, I don't know. Tracy it was really great. It made me feel good to know that my mother-in-law, Irene, she also said my father helped Irene get settled into wherever they're at now much faster than normal. He helped her. And I love it. I love it that her and my father are together. And the other thing Tracy said is she goes, it's very weird that these two families are so connected. She goes, you and Andrew are meant to be together, and you probably have been together in past lives and you'll be together in future lives because there's such a bond there with your family that's passing on their side. So you're like soul, your souls are meant to be together, I guess, like soulmates in a way. And then before I was saying something about, there's a Rose and there's a John. I said, my dad's name isn't John. After I hung up, I called my aunt, Denise. And I said, this is what the reading was. And just to kind of tell her what this is. And my aunt is she believes in all this just like I do. And she goes, well, Rose was your great grandmother. That was your grandfather's mother. I never met her and I didn't know her name, but how did Tracy know Rose's name? It's crazy. I never would have known. I've heard the name Rose before, but I've never had a conversation about Rose ever until that night. I didn't know she was always called Mrs. Randalls. I never knew her real name was Rose. Tracy pulled it out. And then she goes, oh, John is John Franklin, which is your great grandfather. So they both were there. I never met them, obviously, because they were dead before I was born. But, Tracy knew these names. And this happened last time I was with Tracy where she told me some things and then I went to my aunt and talked to her about it. She goes, oh yeah, that's what, I'm like, oh my God, it was so obvious. Because when you're there in the moment, you're just trying to piece the puzzles together. But Tracy, I don't know. It's really such a fucking great gift that she has. And I feel so lucky that I got to meet her and that, I don't know, she's amazing. So that's my readings. I can't say any more things really about it because that's kind of it. It gave me a lot of calmness, I'll say. It calmed me down. It made me realize what I'm doing is the right thing to do. I'm on the right path to doing this. I'm not crazy doing this podcast, trying to make it work and putting so much effort into it. It's where I should be. I get to tell people stories. And now I'm at a point where I get to pick who I want to be on my podcast. And I'm not just picking guests to fill a slot anymore. I have, a large amount of people that come now to me every week that want to be on my show. And I get to pick people who I really like and who have interesting stories and stuff. So I don't know. It feels really good. And here's my advice to anybody listening. If you kind of feel like there's a void or something weird, there's somebody that passed recently, or, my father died in 2008, so he's been gone for a long time. If there's somebody that is kind of on your mind or stuff, you should reach out to Tracy. Or if you just need answers from somebody maybe that passed, like this was really good for me. Tracy she's so accurate that it's scary. And again, my podcast and meeting people like Tracy has made me think differently about what happens when you die. I believe in reincarnation 100%. I never believed in that before. I thought when you died, you die, you're in the ground, you're cremated, and that's it, your body's gone. I never, ever believed in any of that stuff until I started doing the podcast and meeting people like Tracy. So there's no way that Tracy could have known any of this stuff. And I'm not giving, but I also have to say, Tracy is not looking for people to come on and try to test her. So if you're looking to test a person, a medium or a psychic, she's not the one for you. Like, don't go on there saying, oh, what color did I told my mother a color before she died. Like, tell me the color that I told her. Like, Tracy's not looking to do evidential mediumship and stuff. Like, if you want the real shit where she's going to connect with somebody that has gone to the other side, she will do her best to try to connect with that person. I mean, it's really up to the people that on the other side, if they want to come, but she has done it both times for me, my father, and she's the real deal. Because again, there's so many, it's not just like one, and she's not doing, oh, do you know a Michael? Because like everybody knows a Michael, or do you know an Angela? It's not like basic common names. My grandmother's name is not a common name. I don't think anybody is called that anymore. Like that name is not used. And so there's just no way she could have known these names. Rose and John, my great-grandparents, I didn't even know their names. So she knew it. So there's no way she could have dug that up before our call. I guess if she would have like broken into my 23andMe. It's not even in my 23andMe. Like, I don't know. There's no way. Anyway, I don't need to convince you. You can figure it out for yourself. I would book a session with Tracy if you are interested in learning more about this and about her. I will put a link to her website. She books out fast. So if you want to get on her schedule, you need to do it pretty quickly because you could be waiting a month or 2 or 3. And, she's only got so much time. So anyway, Tracy, if you're listening to this, thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being so awesome. And thank you for connecting me and giving me exactly what I needed with my mother-in-law and my father. So thank you. Thanks everybody for listening. If this episode resonated with you, share it with somebody. Also leave a review. The more reviews you leave, if you're listening to this on Apple, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Pandora or iHeartRadio, leave a review because the more reviews I get, the more people get to hear these stories and get to hear about my amazing guest and get to hear their stories, which is what I'm here for. So thanks so much for listening. I'll be back later with a new guest.